Hello, how is it going? So today I want to talk about one of my favorite games from last year, Prince of Persia Lost Crown. Now, this game, when it first came out, had very little marketing behind it, had a kind of a wonky introduction with the hip hop music, but the game ended up surprising a lot of people. The game ended up being really good, and ended up. That's because it was made by the Montpellier team, the guys who made Rayman, and they're kind of like 2D experts. Probably one of the better 2D platformers that not enough people play. And I played it day one, and I loved the game. I thought the combat was amazing, the platform was crisp, and the story, while not being good, while not being amazing, was just kind of okay. And I thought because of the very strong reviews, the very critical acclaim it got, it would at least sell well enough. Now, granted, it was Prince of Persia. In this day and age, hasn't seen any major release in the 14, 15 years. So it was kind of maybe it would do well, maybe it would. And then a month after it came out, we got a report from Insider Gaming saying it only sold 300,000 copies. I think it was only players. I might be wrong on that one. And only got $15 million in revenue. And that's not really good, especially for Ubisoft standards. Internally, they projected more of a million, 1 to 2 million, and maybe like 4 million. Basically, the same amount of sales, something like Metroid Dread would have, which is pretty bold, I should say ambitious, and really ambitious for an IP that hasn't been remembered by anyone except the hardcore fans for 14 years. And sadly, when that report came out, apparently amongst the dev team, it was basically a goner that a potential sequel essentially canceled. And then we got another report from a French developer saying the team has been disbanded, not laid off, which is good because in this day and age, the gaming market, especially if you're a potential developer, it's not looking really good. And so they disbanded, moved off to other teams. Some went to Beyond Good and Evil 2, some went to the next Rayman game, and then some went to whatever the next Assassin's Creed is going to be. Oh my god, how many more are they going to make of that game? And I was pretty upset because I thought this game was honestly like one of my favorite Prince of Persia games ever. I think it's probably the second best one after Sands of Time. And I was just really heartbroken. Even though I know the remake is coming, the Sands of Time remake is coming, I was still really heartbroken. This is probably my favorite 2D game really since Smash Bros. The combat really was kind of, for me, peak in terms of Metroidvanias. The boss fights were actually pretty glorious and ambitious for Metroidvania, and it had so much potential for a sequel that I was going to see what happened. And then with Ubisoft not being in a really good financial situation, they start one by one, most of their games started falling below expectations. Star Wars Outlaws not doing well. Prince of Persia also not doing well. Skull and Bones, the first quadruple A game. Not even Rockstar would put we'll call a game quadruple A. That didn't do well either. And it's amazing of that one because they already made the best pirate game ever called Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they still messed it up. And one by one, most of their games did not meet expectations. And then Assassin's Creed Shadows kind of, from outside perspective, kind of made it seem like we have to get this game right. So they delayed it by 6 months. And I played that too. I'm an Assassin's Creed fan, even though I should really change up something in the game. And I thought it was okay. It was good, I think. And that game got 3 million players, which I think for Ubisoft was actually good. This is actually the second highest amount of players playing the game right after Valhalla. Valhalla was never going to be repeated again because Valhalla came at the perfect time for COVID when everyone is at home and wanted a new console. And Ubisoft broke up. Now, I'm going to kind of break this down for people who don't know what happened to Ubisoft. Essentially, Ubisoft kind of split apart into two business entities. One entity is the financially healthy one, the one investors care about, the one that actually has the more potential for growth investment, and that's managing the IPs of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow. These are considered probably the strongest out of Ubisoft. You know, they always sell guaranteed. They can put out a crappy game and it will still sell. And then there's the rest of Ubisoft. And guess what game that includes? Wait, this is no, the game's right there. Actually, that was bad. But this game too. But this game also didn't sell very well. And what I mean is, Prince of Persia is not part of the game that sells well. Now, I know Ubisoft is kind of like they're going through kind of an identity crisis right now with what they want to focus on, and I really feel like their old, the old Ubisoft really needs a strong kick of positivity, right? They need something that players will actually like and respect them for, and don't come across as greedy, right? And I think Lost Crown was a step in the right direction. It was a new game. It was actually like a AA mid-sized game. Not everything has to be an open world Ubisoft like this game. Like, I really like this should have never been a Far Cry game. It really should have been kind of like its own game. Like, using guns in an Avatar game for me personally is just kind of off-putting, right? Like, I'm in an alien world. I'm fighting against aliens, and I'm literally just reminded I'm playing a Far Cry game. Or I could have played an average human. So yeah, they need a bit of an identity crisis. And recently, Prince of Persia Lost Crown has just announced that it released 2 million players. Now, the title of the video says Prince of Persia Lost Crown confirmed. And I think it actually might be confirmed. Who knows? Like, they're kind of teasing it. And in it, we'll go over the tweet. It says well over 2 million players by now. They always say players, not sales. That's besides the point. You revived the legend. The prince is back, and believe us, he is just warming up. Now, if you're a astute observer, you realize they say prince, not Sargon. I think you're kind of being too hopeful for it. And it's true. The remake is coming out next year in 2026. But I think the way they word it says you revived the legend. And they saw a picture of Sargon. And we know, if you actually played the game, for hardcore fans like myself, we know Sargon is actually kind of a Prince of Persia in the game. I really don't know how that really makes sense with 3 Prince of Persias in that game, but that's besides the point. So he's technically the prince, and believe us, he's just warming up. I like to believe that they need some positivity. They need to not to come off so greedy and so we want all your money, and they need to just show some smaller AA games that kind of round out their portfolios. And I think Lost Crown is a step in the right direction. They know Montpellier can deliver. They know they get critical acclaim. If they just marketed it a little bit better and a little bit more strongly, this game could have sold a lot better. And if I really hope that this is not just a quick tweet, the marketing for Sands of Time. It's actually, we're reforming the game. I really hope the old portion of Ubisoft does invest more into the Prince of Persia IP, whether it's a remake of a whole Sands of Time trilogy, or it's also a remake of it's also a sequel to Lost Crown. Now, I want to say, like, one of my hopes for a sequel, and what I kind of want a sequel to be like. And first of all, I hope they double down on the combat. The combat for me was probably one of the strongest highlights of the game. It almost felt like a Smash game or a fighting game, where there's a myriad of moves the prince can do simply by rotating his joystick up, down, or left. And there was also a lot of aerial combos, which were really cool. The bow also provided a lot of combo opportunities. I also hope they kind of double down on some of his abilities. Now, like, if you played the game, the feathers are what allow you to get more, allow you to get the double jumps, the air dashes, the one where you, like, put a shadowy figure and then you go back to that. And I know in Metroidvanias, the whole point of them is that you gain those abilities, and that by the end of it, you're kind of like a super powerhouse. But, it's kind of weird in the sequel if they want to just remove them and then you require them back. There is an opportunity there. I will say the grappling that you get towards the end of the game is pretty broken, especially when you're fighting normal enemies. It really does make the combat kind of, really easy. So I really hope they double down on the combat. And what I mean by this, if you play the DLC, which I did, the Artaban boss fight, the hardest boss fight in the game, and no, by no question, I think he's a step in the right direction of what I want to see. He's the only boss fight that has mix-ups. You know, his attack patterns kind of can blend into one another, where you think he's doing one combo, but then he switches it up mid-combo and does another. He also requires significantly a lot more parrying. He just generally, yeah, like he has generally more mix-up. And if you don't know what a mix-up is, it's like it's like the Margit boss fight, the first boss fight Elden Ring, where you think he's doing one pattern and then he switches it up into another, and then you're kind of always left on your toes, and then you can't just assume you know what he's going to do next. I really hope they double down on that, because I think the combat is kind of where Metroidvania's kind of really simplified things. Like, hey, Smash Bros. Fighting games are a whole obvious influence that this game can have, and I really hope they go stronger in that. If the game, also another idea that they can totally have is they can add like a special companion, maybe a love interest, maybe something else that kind of allows you to combo in different ways. Like, I know Pharaoh was essentially like a big helper at the time, but I think the probably the best companion we've had in Prince of Persia game was Elika, and Elika, she just wasn't there for the platforming. She was there for the combat. She allowed you to do combos you couldn't do yourself. So I would love an Elika-like figure in the game where, you know, if you can combo into one move and then have her come and assist you to do another. I think that would also be a really cool idea to have in the game. And lastly, I just want, more boss fights. This game has like a decent amount. The base game has like 7 boss fights, but when I was playing the game, there's kind of a big gap between Jahandar and Kiana. There feels like there should have been a boss fight there. If you play the DLC, I think that's where Rajan was supposed to slit right there. But I would really like more complex boss fights, because there are some mini bosses here which are good, but they're not really fun to replay because they only have like 3 attack patterns, and they get kind of simpler patterns. They're not really fun to refight. And I just like, I don't know why developers don't focus on the attack patterns. Really do add variety in the boss fights. Like, if they only have 3 patterns, it gets predictable on what the enemies do next. But they have like 20, they have 19, they're constantly doing different things. It makes them really fun to refight. And only the main boss to have that. So I just really want more main bosses, right? Like a Dark Souls game has around like 20 to 30. I know this game's only AA and it's only 20 hours, but it feels like it should have had like 3 more main bosses, something to really sink your teeth into. And I think the base game lacked that. It does help that the sequel is out now and you can basically buy the game. And when you bring those two together, it kind of makes it feel fuller. And anyway, this is all everything I hoped for in the Lost Crown sequel. I hope the game is true and come to life. I also hope that it's great, because the Montpellier team is generally a fantastic 2D developer, and I hope Ubisoft realizes this and doubles down the more. And I also hope more people play the game. It's on the freaking phone. You can play this on the phone. I downloaded it. I bought it. I was like, oh yeah, you can play it. I didn't buy the game because I already bought the game twice. I bought it on Steam and I bought it on physical PS5. So anyway, that's the whole video.